All right, awesome. Welcome back to another Sunday strategy call. Thank you guys for being here. The goal of you, as you know, of these calls is to start our week strong, to start our week with momentum, to build right from day one, because we know that the way we start our week is the way that we finish our week. And, if we can start from Sunday, come into the week with power on Monday, there's a much better chance of us finishing the week strong by the next weekend. And then we take things day by day, week by week, but winning the week is the best way to start winning your month, winning your years, winning your life. The first thing I want to talk about is I want to introduce the concept of spheres of influence. Spheres of influence, I first learned about this concept from the book 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Dr. Stephen Covey. It's my most highly regarded book. I recommend every human on earth read this book. I certainly recommend every person in this call read this book. It changed my life more than any other single book, most likely. But yeah, the idea of spheres of influence is that there are 3 levels, as you can clearly see here. We're going to start from the outside and work in. And the first outermost circle is our circle of concern. Our circle of concern is really anything that affects us. So it's anything in the world that has anything that could possibly affect my life. So these are things like my daily activities. They're things like my coworkers, their decisions. It's things like my boss, what they say. It's things like the global market, right? Because if the economy crashes and that somehow affects my job, then that makes a difference. It's things like COVID-19. It's things like traffic in the morning. Everything can affect me in some certain way. And the thing about the circle of concern is these are really have to do with outcomes, right? So if the market crashes and my stock portfolio tanks, and then because of that the gym closes, and because of that this, and it's like the outcome from these things is part of my concern. But if we go one step into that, we have our circle of influence. And our circle of influence is things that that concern me and I have some sort of sway over. So usually I have to go a step in because I don't have sway over the entire global economy and markets. I don't have any say over COVID-19 and what my government does with dealing with a global pandemic. But I do have influence over myself, what things that I do, and to an extent, I have influence over the others around me, depending on my exact relationship to them. So if I'm a parent, I have influence over my kids, right? I can tell them what to do, but I can't literally make them do it. I mean, I can to an extent, but not literally. I have influence over my coworkers, over my subordinates, right? Even if I'm a manager, I can tell my subordinates what to do. Theoretically, they have to do what I tell them, but literally they don't, right? I mean, they could get fired, they could face some sort of, repercussions if they don't, but I don't literally have the ability to control them. So I have influence over things outside of myself. And then we get into the centermost circle, and that's your circle of control. And the circle of control are what are the things that I have actual direct control over. And if we understand what that really means, it's myself, it's me, it's my actions, right? Like I said, I can tell my nephew what to do and he's 4, but I can't physically control him to do it. I can tell the people who work for me what to do, but I can't make them do it so much as I can dock their pay or fire them or something like that. All I have control over are the words that come out of my mouth, the actions that I take, the things that I do every day on a day-to-day basis. Going back to my circle of concern on the outside, again, these are things like outcomes, things that might result from something that I do inside my circle of control, right? So I can control my daily actions, but the outcome that comes from them might not be within my control. Okay, so again, an easy example of like this is diet. I can control the things that I eat. That's within my circle of control. I cannot control the rate at which my weight comes off. The rate at which the number on the scale goes down is outside of my circle of control. I do not have direct control over that. I cannot say by tomorrow I want to lose 5 pounds. It doesn't work like that. I can influence these things. It's definitely within my concern, but I don't have control over that. I have control over actions, right? So The thing we have to understand is that we have to be able to discern through these things. What do I have control over? What is outside of my circle of control, meaning what's in my influence or my circle of concern. And the reason that this is so important is because right here, where focus goes, energy flows, right? Energy flows where intention goes. And energy, the universe is energy. It's like a current, it's a wave. It's always flowing in or out. There's no standing still with energy. And we live in a world of infinite inputs. Meaning, there's TV, there's your social media, there's your phone. You have infinite things coming at you at any given moment. And your brain has to discern through all of these infinite inputs. Right now, I'm sitting in a chair. There's light coming from around me. I'm looking at a screen. My phone is next to me. I'm talking to you guys. You guys have this laptop that you're looking at. You're listening to me through your headphones, but you also have maybe your kids running around in the background. You also have maybe your phone. You also have maybe the thought of the football game that's on you. There's a million things going on. And our attention is always being pulled in a million different directions. But where we choose to focus that attention decides where we will then focus our energy and where we will actually go with it. Meaning that because we have so many inputs, we can only focus on so many things. And when the first step in taking action is choosing where our focus goes, and then our energy and attention can go there. And we live in a time, there's a concept called the attention economy. And the attention economy was a term coined by a man named Herbert Simon in the 1970s. And I'm going to just read his quote because he says it better than me. But when he says that a wealth of information creates a poverty of attention and a need to allocate that attention efficiently among the overabundance of information sources that might consume it. Meaning, because there's so many possible things that can take our attention, we have to be deliberate and diligent about where we spend our attention. Attention is literally a currency. Companies pay for it, right? Facebook is in the business of buying and selling your attention. Social media is in the business of buying and selling your attention. Commercials are literally paying money for your attention. A TV commercial is paying money for your attention. So all of this is to say we have to be more diligent about where we spend our attention, because where we focus, where our attention goes, that is where our energy will go. That is where our focus, our time will all go. And we only have two real resources in life, and these are time and energy. Time and energy are two most precious resources because they're the only two that we cannot really get more of. Meaning we have 7 days in a week, that's 24 hours in a day, which is 10,080 minutes per week. Every single minute is one that you will not get back. We can make more money. We can make more experiences, theoretically, but we can't make more time, and we can't make more energy. Our energy and our time do replenish. They're both on like a 24-hour clock, meaning I can be low energy and low time today. If it gets to 9 o'clock tonight, I don't have a lot of time left. I don't have a lot of energy left, but when I go to sleep, I'll replenish both of those things and I'll have more time and more energy tomorrow. But no matter what, a day that passes is a day that's gone forever. Our energy, we have physical energy, we have mental energy, and we have emotional energy. But all of these things deplete in the same way. They deplete along with time, and they deplete in the way that we spend them. In the things, going back to the last slide, depending on what we're paying attention to, where we're spending that energy, spending that attention. So we need to guard these two things with everything that we have. We need to be extremely diligent with the way we spend our time and the way we spend our energy, because those are the things that allow us to do everything else. So understanding that, when we go back to this slide, because inside of our circle, our sphere of control, are all the things that we have the ability to change. All of our time and energy needs to be spent inside of that circle. And we need to deliberately and forcefully make sure that we are not spending any time or energy outside of that circle, especially in our circle of concern, because there's so many things that concern us but that we cannot actually affect. And any time or energy that we spend outside of our circle of control, that we spend on things that are of our concern, but that we do not have direct control over, is inherently wasted time and energy, right? So during the beginning of COVID, so many people were spending time watching the news and this and you know, we were home from work and we're watching 24-hour news and we're reading all these updates and to me, I mean, don't get me wrong, of course I got sucked into it in the beginning. You want to be educated, you want to understand, but at a certain point I understood that all of that stuff was in my circle of concern. It concerned me, but I had no possible way to influence it, right? I could not change what was going on. If we were sheltered at home, we were sheltered at home. What could I do? I could take control of my time. So I focused squarely within my circle of control. I made sure that my morning routine was perfect. I made sure that I was taking the most time every day to do what I needed to do in terms of physical activity, in terms of mental health, in terms of all the things that I needed to do. And I focused squarely inside of my circle of control. This is the most important thing. And we're going to, when you understand this and you start to look at life through this lens, you begin to be able to shave off so many unnecessary things. There's so much out there, going back to what I said before about we live in a world of infinite inputs, of infinite things begging for our attention. And if we can look through life through this lens, through this filter of, okay, what can I control? What can I control? Okay, focus all of my attention on that. And okay, things that, yes, this might affect me. Again, sitting in traffic affects me, but can I make the traffic drive faster? No, that I might as well not focus on it. Yes, I'm doing a presentation for work. I can control how much effort I put into the presentation, how much time I put into it. Do I do my best? Do I make the most of it? What I can't control is the result. Once I give that presentation, what will my boss say? What will the partner say? What will happen after that? That's outside of my circle of control. It's in my circle of concern because it definitely affects me. But since I can't control it, any time or energy I spent ruminating on it, thinking about it, go pacing back and forth, what are they going to say? What's going to happen? It's inherently wasted. So I might as well push it to the side and wait until something happens that I am able to actually affect. So this is a decision matrix. And we have on the two axes, probability and importance. So we have here, something is highly probable and highly important, even if these are out of our control, right? Because it says divide your uncontrollables here at the top. So I'm talking about things that are uncontrollable for us. So even though some things are outside of our control, we still need to pay attention to them, right? Like I said, like, okay, like I can't control traffic. I might as well not think about that. But there are certain things that are outside of our control, like maybe again, what my boss says, that I still do need to think about, even though I can't control it. So the way I make these decisions is decide about, again, the probability and the importance. If it's highly probable and highly important, meaning it's definitely going to happen and it's going to affect me, then this is something worth planning for, worth strategizing about. Then we have things that are not very important, but highly probable. In this bottom right corner, we have things that are not highly probable, but they're important. So it means like, okay, like, well, like it could happen, but it probably won't. But if it did happen, like, yeah, that would be a thing that I would have to deal with. And then we have this bottom right corner where it's not probable, it's not important. And those are the things that go into who cares. So, you know, let's say that my thing is working out, right? Let's break this down to very, very tangible. Let's say that I want to plan for working out for the week, exercise, because that's a big goal that I have. And I want to make sure I'm losing weight and I know that it's good for my health or whatever. So there's lots of different things. If I'm saying I want to go to the gym 4 times this week, there's lots of different things that could get in the way of that are outside of my control, right? COVID could flare up again and all the gyms in the city could get shut down. Okay. So I might have to run and pick up the kids or from soccer practice, even though my ex was supposed to do it. And because my ex had an emergency and they can't, so now I have to go do the thing. That's definitely possible. I could just be too tired and I could not want to do it. Highly probable. And then it could just be like raining or there's something like that. Like all of these things are happening, but now I can plot these on this decision matrix, right? So my gym getting shut down because COVID flare-ups, I mean, it's possible, right? But it's not very probable at this point, just based on what's going on in the grand scheme of things, right? So that would go kind of in that bottom right hand corner, right? Like it could happen, but it probably won't. So I'm not really going to probably plan for that. Then we have like, I might have to pick up the kids from soccer because my so and so couldn't do it, and that might be something that it might happen, but it doesn't mean much to me because I can just move my gym thing back an hour. I can plan around it. And then I could think being too tired and not wanting to. So that might go high on my probability and importance meter, because it's definitely probably going to happen. I'm definitely going to come home from work at 7 p.m. and I'm definitely going to have the gym planned at 7:30, and I'm definitely not going to want to do it. And it's important because that has a direct counter action to me actually doing my goal. So that's something that I want to plan for, because that's high in that probability and importance corner. So what can I do about that? I can plan to go to the gym in the morning or wake up an hour earlier so that I can do it before I come home from work and are super tired. I can plan to go on the weekend. I can plan to do on my lunch break or something like that. But I can plan around that, because me having to work until 7 p.m. and then deal with all the other stuff that I'm going to do is it's my actions, but it's outside of my control. I have to do those things. So I might as well plan for them, even though it's outside of my exact controllable sphere. And that's what I want to talk about, is what I call planning for the inevitables, right? So you can see in this little diagram, not diagram, drawing, whatever the hell it is, energy levels throughout the week. Sunday, energy is high. Monday, high. Tuesday, a little less. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, whatever. You get the point. And we know that this is true, right? Most of the time, Sunday, we get to rest Saturday and Sunday. So we have a little bit more energy Sunday evening. We come into the week with a little bit high energy. By Thursday, Friday, it's always like we're dragging, right? So we want to take advantage of this. We want to plan for the flows of energy in the week, right? I see right here, first bullet point, week flows, right? You know that your energy is higher certain days than on others. I know that I can get more done on a Monday than I can on a Friday afternoon. That by Friday afternoon, if it doesn't happen by 2 p.m., that the week is already over and I'm probably not going to do anything. So I need to plan for that, because that happens every single week. This is, outside of my controlling sphere. However, it is an inevitable part of my life that to not plan for is inherently setting myself up for failure. There's other things that will go into this same lane, such as work and school, right? Things for your job, things for your kids' school. You have to drop them off. You have to pick them up. Again, outside of your control, but you have to deal with these things. Then we have what I call must-dos, but they're not want-tos. So there's certain things that grocery shopping, laundry, things that I have to do. I don't want to do them, but this is just part of life. And then we have family and relationship obligations and just life stuff in general. There's parts of life that are again outside of our control, but very much within our sphere of concern that we have to deal with. So I don't want to spend a lot of mental energy on these things. Going back to what I was saying about spending too much mental energy on things that are outside of our control is wasteful, unless they are an inevitable part of my life. If I have to deal with them at some point, I might as well think about it, because by not thinking about these things, by not planning for these things, I am again inherently setting myself up for failure, because these things are going to come. There are going to be days when I have to go grocery shopping, and that's going to take 3 hours out of my day, because I have to go grocery shopping, unpack everything, pack it into my car, put it in the refrigerator or whatever. So to not plan for that is just silly, and that will set me up for failure down the road in terms of my diet, in terms of my exercise, in terms of whatever else. So what I want you guys to do right now, I'm going to real quick set a timer. And I want you to draw a line on your paper, if you have, and pick one goal. So again, if we're talking about weight loss, if we're talking about a business goal, if we're talking about whatever the thing is that we want to work on this week. And then I want you to write for the next 2 minutes everything that can affect if you will be able to work on or achieve this goal. It doesn't have to be achieve, it can just be work on. So again, going back to the gym thing, what are all the things that could get in the way of me going to the gym this week? If it is working on my book and writing my book, and setting aside time for that, what are all the things that could affect me writing the book, in terms all the way from having to work an extra shift at work, all the way up to there being a blackout and me not having any electricity to charge my laptop, and write all of those things. And I just want to write on the left side things that are inside of my control, and on the right the things that are outside of my control. All right, so I'm going to start a timer right now, and then give you guys 2 minutes to just work on this really quickly. All right, I'm starting the timer and go ahead. $60 left. All right, awesome. Hope you guys got some things down. If you didn't, don't worry about it. You can always come back to this in a little bit. So, but the thing I want to pay attention to is on the right side, we have the things that are outside, right? That are outside of our sphere of control, but are definitely affecting us, right? Going back to those, these some things that are going to affect us that we can't control. So automatically we want to spend most of our energy on things that we can control that are going to affect us. But there are some things that inevitably are going to be outside of our control and also going to affect us. And what I want you to do is label each one a 1, a 2, or a 3, or 3, a 2, or a 1. 3 means it's highly important and highly probable, right? Going back to the example of the gym thing, if it's myself being too tired to work out after work, and that's going to stop me from working out, and my goal is to work out, that's highly important, highly probable, I'm going to put a 3 next to that. Then we have highly important but improbable. So these are things like things that could happen, and if they happen, that you would have to definitely deal with it, but it's not definitely going to happen this week. It could happen sometime in the future. It could possibly happen this week, but it's something that, it's not definite that it's going to happen and that it's going to affect you right away. And then we have the last probable but not important at all, meaning that this thing could happen, but if it did happen, it's really not going to affect me that much. So something that could be like, it could rain, right? So I could plan to, like, maybe my plan is to exercise outside and it could definitely rain, but I also have a gym membership. So it's like, yeah, it could rain and that would be annoying, but it's not going to get in the way of me getting my goal done, because I can still just go to the gym inside. It's going to be unideal. It's going to be annoying, but it's not something that really affects me. And then I want to, when planning my week this week, when planning my scheduling my week, I want to keep in mind the 3s, the things that are highly important and highly probable, and have those things in mind. Again, even though I don't have control over them, if I plan ahead of time, again, planning for changing the time when I'm going to exercise, planning how what the work I'm going to do to affect the outcome, that way there's a chance that I can change that before it happens. Again, it's outside of my control completely, but planning ahead is always the thing that will give me the most chance of getting the outcome that I desire. And that's the whole point of all of these, Sunday strategy calls. So when we're doing our planning, the things that are within your control, that's number 1. Things that will highly affect you, whether they're inside your control or outside of your control, and the things that are inevitable. Again, whether inside or outside of your control, if they're inevitable, we need to plan for inevitabilities. These are the things that we plan for. Okay, so things, again, being too tired, having to go grocery shopping, having to finish this report by Tuesday because that's when it's due, having to, again, be on X amount of calls with so-and-so, having to pick my kids up. These are the things that we plan for. We want to put most of our energy in the things that we control, because that is the only way that we can best use our energy. Again, spending energy on things that are outside of our control is not ideal, but we do want to plan for the things outside of our control. So if that happens, I have a contingency of X, right? If my ex calls me and says, hey, I can't pick up the kids anymore, can you go pick them up? Do I have a contingency, or do I let my entire week fall to shambles because of that? But the main point I want to make here is, again, focusing our energy and our time on the things that are squarely inside our circle of control. Because again, whether it's business, whether it's relationships, whether it's fitness, whether it's health, it doesn't matter. There are certain things that we have control over. And those are the things that we need to really focus on, because if we think back to last week's call, we talked about agency and autonomy, and having the agency over your life, having the ability to a sense of control over our life is very freeing. When we feel that we don't have control over our life, that's when we get that anxiety, that stress, that overwhelm. So any energy, any time that we spend focusing outside of our circle of control on things that are, again, even if they do influence us, if we can't control them, we are inherently asking to be overwhelmed, to be stressed, and to be anxious, because we don't have control over those things we can't control, things that won't affect us, right? We spend a lot of time thinking about the global economy and this or that. And it's like, yes, it has an effect on me, but it doesn't have a direct effect on me tomorrow, and things that won't happen at all. These are things that we really need to brush aside as much as we can. It's easy to brush aside the bottom two, specifically the bottom one, obviously things that won't happen, that's much easier. Things that won't affect us, that is pretty easy once we understand that it won't affect us, but that can be a very scary thing to be like, well, how do I know that it won't affect me? But again, for this, we need to start thinking about being realistic. But the most important one is brushing aside the things that we can't control and not spending an overwhelming amount of time and energy on it. Now, again, we can go back to that decision-making matrix about like, okay, how important is it to me and how important is it to me? How much will it affect me if it happens, even if it's outside of my control? Because there's some things that are so highly important that I do need to plan for them and have contingencies in place in case, even if I can't control them. But for the most part, 99% of the time, our energy, our time, our resources, everything we're doing needs to be focused squarely on things that I have direct control over. I need to be focusing on what I can do. I can't be focusing on what my mom does, my girlfriend, anything like that. Yes, those stuff affects me, but I can't control them. I am a unique individual person, and I need to be focusing all my time. So when I'm making my plan for the week, I need to remember this. This is the filter that I have to look at everything through. Can I control this? Do I have a control over this outcome? I can control the inputs, right? I can control what I do, but if I can't control the outcome, then that is not where I need to be focusing. I can always focus on inputs, and that's where I always need to focus my attention. That's where I need to focus my time. That's where I need to focus my energy. Focus on the things that you can control, and those are the things that you can wake up and do right now, that you can turn off this call, get up and go and do. That's something that you have control over. If you have to have someone else who is not you can affect this in any way, then it's inherently outside of your control. So again, it doesn't matter even if you're a boss, again, you cannot control your subordinates to a T. Even if you're a parent, even if you're in a relationship, you cannot control your significant other. So the real point that I really wanted to make here today is just to start to look at everything that you do through this lens. Am I in control here? Can I control what's happening? Because if you can, then it's a very good place to be focusing your energy. And if you can't, focusing your energy there will inherently just lead to frustration, overwhelm, and burnout eventually, because you're trying to control something that is uncontrollable. So take that into the week this week, when you're planning your week, when you're planning your days, when you're going through your morning routine, when you're doing all the other things that we're working on, and use this lens of, am I in control here, to really understand, is this worth me putting my time, and my energy, our two most valuable resources. Is this worth my time and my energy? All right, and that's it. That's 30 minutes on the nose. That's all I wanted to say today. Thank you guys for being here. I'll see everyone else tomorrow or whenever we have our individual calls, but I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions, just shoot me a message separately. Later, guys.